Okay, guys, what's going on? Okay, I am back. What's going on? Listen, we are going to do a thing where just for this stream, we are going to turn off the super chat just for this stream. It's just for this stream, guys, okay? Yeah, it's just for this stream. After that, we can chat, but let me get to the end of the story and then we are going to chat. We'll do the listen, it's just for the stream. Let me get to the story and then we will turn the super chats back on. All right. I will turn the things off. Okay. Anyway, let's get into Jane Doe's testimony. I turned the live chat off because we cannot have anybody guessing her identity. And just for this stream, why we're talking about who it is, we're just going to have to turn it off. All right, deal? Okay, deal. All right, can y'all see me? Okay. So where are we at with that? So anyway, how did she meet Diddy? Diddy was talking to one of her girlfriends, okay? She said that they were in the theater, and she said, he said, I want to take you out during the movie, right? She said, it's a little complicated right now, but I'm going to be in touch. It's a little complicated right now, but I'm going to be in touch, okay? We are going over the way Jane actually met Diddy. The way Jane actually met Diddy, okay? We are going to go over that. So let's get into it, okay? It's over on movie night. It's fine. But listen, we cannot talk about who it actually is. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hello. I'm back on live. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's start over from the beginning. Okay. The chat is temporarily off. I will turn it on after we get that past this part, but I need the chat off because we don't need anybody doxing Jane. Okay. She said that she was a junior in college. She met him while she was modeling. She worked in restaurants. She was in a relationship with Diddy. Their code names to each other were Bert and Ernie, right? She met on a girls' trip in Miami. Diddy paid for everything, right? Diddy was dating her girlfriend, invited them over for a group dinner. Then from the group dinner, I think they went over on the yacht, okay? She said that when they went over on the yacht that night, they said he was very charming and nice. She was drawn to him. He was sweet and funny. They went to the yacht from Star Island and they were flirting on the yacht. She said she bumped into him in the restaurant. They exchanged in the restroom. They exchanged number, okay? She said that she actually did see Diddy give Tucci at the party. She said, my girlfriend requested it, okay? Diddy said, okay. He delivered it. They said the man in the studio pulled out a pink powder and said, is this safe? They said it's the best. And then took it back to the pool, right? Now, her girlfriend saw they were flirting and got really, really upset, right? More importantly, right? Diddy persuaded her. Now, she said she waited a while. And she said her girlfriend actually got married to somebody over in Europe. So she was fiance now. And she said, okay, well, it's cool for me to date this guy, right? She texted him Bert. He texted back Ernie, right? Now, let's call her Justine. Diddy persuaded Justine or Jane Doe. He pursued her. He was begging her, yo, can you come to Miami? Come to Miami. She said that she hesitated. But when she got engaged overseas, she said, okay, right? She said that they both be seeing each other at the same time. She said, listen, I'm already going to be in Miami in January of 2021 for an event. Diddy asked her like, yo, can you hang out? Right. Then she says that she walked into a hotel room. That was supposed to be the hangout. Their first date was in a hotel room, but I guess that's what you got to do to bag a billionaire. She walked into the hotel room. She said that Diddy seemed like he was larger than life. He was holding court. He was doing all this stuff. She said he was so charming. They had their first date in a hotel room. She said that date lasted 5 days. Now, I know what you're saying. Was there a freak off? No, there was not a freak off, but they said they had a first date that lasted 5 days. Get this. She told Diddy, she said, I was very open that I dated somebody that at one time was his friend. She said she actually has a child with somebody that Diddy doesn't like. But she said, Diddy said, I don't care. Diddy actually like dating women that got kids with other people. I think it's a way he exerts his dominance. You know what I'm saying? Right? I think it's a way. We're going to turn the chat back on in a second. I just need, thanks to my mods, we're going to have to do this without the chat just for a little bit, right? So she said that Diddy was so charming. He didn't care that she had a kid with someone he didn't like. Now, the funny thing is, Diddy loves getting women that have children. I think it's on two parts. I think he does that because he loves being like, yeah, I'm the baby's daddy now. But I think he also likes as a way that he feels like single moms don't have as many options and they need the money. So they're going to depend and cling on him, right? She said that she didn't care. He didn't care. Sunrise. Oh, she said that they literally made love for 5 days, and they said they watched the sunrise on the balcony. She said they walked on the beach. She said it was a proper date. They even had date night where she dressed up really sexy. Diddy liked her hair super straight, and when they were getting it on, she liked her hair back in a ponytail. She said they were getting to know each other, and she was head over heels in love with her. She was head over heels in love with him. Okay. Now she said the second time they saw each other, he invited her on a trip to Turks, right? And the Bahamas. She said it was an island getaway. It was amazing. Now she flew down to Miami, and then in Miami, they took his private jet. There was KK, there was a chef, there was a butler, there was even a private photographer. Okay. Now, she said that from Turks, they were in Turks for about 9 days, and then they flew to Bahamas for 6 more days, right? Now, when I put, where was the kid at? Well, you was out gallivanting, but maybe she was like, Mama is about to lock this down. I'll see you later. I was like, is this some Dre and Michelle stuff? So here's this, right? They played a video, and they said that the video was, we didn't get to see it, but we heard it. They were off in like some island, and she said he rented out a whole villa. She said that, I'm just a single mom. I'm a content creator. I'm an influencer. I make my money from advertising brands. And she actually said, and this is the one thing I do want to say, Diddy always separates the woman he's with from making the money. They said that she was making a lot of money before that, right? But she said that it was a single mom, influence, advertiser brands. Oh, she said that Diddy gave her a love bracelet. And get this, at the end of the trip, because she is a single mom and she makes her money that way, she said that Diddy was like, yo, I'm going to send you $10K just because, right? And she said she sent her $10K at the end of the trip because he took her away from her son and from her money for so many days, and she had to pay for babysitting and all this other stuff, right? So she said that she was just like over the moon about it. And she said she was really head over heels, but listen to the way the dark stuff started peeking in, right? She said that while she was in Turks or whatever, Bahamas, she used ecstasy, right? And they said, did you ever use it before him? And she was like, actually, I've only used it twice in my whole life. And both times it was on like New Year's Eve in 2015. But Diddy had told her various points of the trip. He told her 9 times. She said she's only in Turks for 9 days. He told her 9 times, tried to get her to encourage to use ecstasy, right? So almost every day he was pressuring her to use X. And she said one day they were at the pool drinking, and Diddy opened his hand like a devil. He opened his hand, right? And he said, yo, take this. It'll make it even more fun, right? And then she said she wanted to please him. That was her partner. She wanted to show, and she was head over heels. So she took it. And she said that she was walking along the beach, and then all of a sudden the X just hit her, which I have to know, right? I know chat is temporarily disabled, but I have to know. Is X the same thing as Molly? Is X the same thing as Molly? Because I keep hearing Molly and I keep hearing X, and are they the same thing? Anyway, she said that she was walking on the beach, and all of a sudden the X just hit her. She said she fell on the ground, and all she remembers is grabbing his hand. She started convulsing and shaking and going crazy. What did Diddy put in that X? I don't think that was regular X, because why were you on the ground convulsing and shaking? Do you know what I'm saying? Right? She said that she grabbed his hand. She was convulsing. She was throwing sand around. She was shaking. And she said that she was screaming. Okay. KK and the butler somehow put her in the shower and ran water over her, hoping that would take the sensory thing down. And it did. So that means that Diddy gave her something that made her almost OD. Diddy gave her something that made her almost OD and said that it was X, which makes me think, what did he put in there? Right? Anyway, she said that next time he was like, yo, just take half of the pill, right? And she said her mind readjusted. She said while she was on the pill, she felt free. She felt this and that. And then her mind readjusted and she felt super, super low, right? And she said, honestly, again, when Diddy left, he gave her 10K and she was like, yo, I thought 10K at that time was a lot of money, right? Now, Diddy did tell her, like, yo, I really like you, but I'm seeing multiple women. And she said, okay. And they said, why did you say okay? And she said, because I really, really liked it. And I was fine. I really liked him and I was fine in a one-way open relationship. So Diddy could see everybody that he wanted, but it wasn't like that on the other way around, right? Now, she said that she kept the relationship going until the day of his arrest, okay? I'm sorry. They were on a break from November 2023 to February 2024. They were on some type of break, right? She said in June of 2021, Diddy moved her to LA, right? And here's the thing that makes me think that's so weird. Do you know that Diddy actually moved her to LA? And he said that he gave her all this money for the moving and all this money for stuff. But then when it came out there, he only gave her $6K for a moving truck. And she said she saw him in person every other week. And there was a lot of texting over the phone, but she only saw him about every other week. She said that every single time she was with Diddy, they had to use drugs. Molly, Kane, Colombian cancer, just X. Diddy demanded that she use, right? Every single time. He also said that he preferred her in like cheap lingerie and stripper shoes, right? She said that every single time they had to use baby oil, and they were like, how much baby oil did you use? And she was like, we would use 24 bottles, 24 bottles of baby oil, y'all. She said, but she didn't care because she loved making love with her partner. He was super passionate and it brought the passion out of her. And she was just in it. And I was like, girl, that's just that exit and shut up, right? But all of a sudden, she started crying out the blue. And they said, did he ever talk to you about fantasy? She said, until it was always them until things changed, right? And she said in May 2021, she started crying. She said that they had this fantasy combo. Isn't the same thing Cassie said he did to her? And she said that she was really, it was like this big high that she was on. And all of a sudden he said, yo, he fantasized about seeing other men, blank her. And she said it happened while they were watching Corn. And he said, yo, I got a question. And like he was watching the Corn, he was like, yo, do you like what you see? Do you like that? Do you want that? Do you need that? She said, pretend that's me standing in the corner watching, right? And she said at this point, she had been awake for almost 24 hours off of the X, the Molly. They were doing the do. They had been awake for like she said she was just like sleep deprived, this and that, right? And all of a sudden, Diddy was like, yo, I can make that fantasy happen. And she was like, okay. And they were like, why'd you say okay? And she's like, I said okay because like I wanted to please him. I just wanted to make him happy. I didn't think it was going to happen, right? And she said, okay, let's play into your fantasy. And she went into the bathroom. And she said when she came out the bathroom, Diddy was on the phone with a super serious look, texting, wearing a bathrobe, and said, yo, I can make it, wearing a bathrobe, and said, yo, I can make that happen tonight, right? And she said that she was still high. So she was like, you can make it happen tonight. And 2 hours later, in a hotel. 2 hours later, she was in a hotel room. There were red lights everywhere, and all the assistants were setting up. They said, "Who's the assistant?" She said, "KK." Well, she didn't say KK. She said there was some assistant, right? I don't know if she said KK because she was talking very, very softly. But there was somebody doing everything, right? And Diddy, he was like, "Yo, relax. I know this guy. He's a nice guy." All right. And they literally told her, I think one of the assistants said that sexual things are about to start. And they said there was no info. She wasn't any info except for he's a nice guy and just relax, right? And they said you're gonna be in a room by yourself for a little bit. And Diddy walks out, right? She's in robe and lingerie. Dom was in the room. She said that they like, what happened? And she said, I was just trying to be smiley. I was getting to know him. I was trying to break the tension, right? But she said that she also started like, oh, and I think she was right. And she started slow dancing. She started slow dancing because she was dancing really slow to break the tension. She said after it was over, she felt dirty and yucky. Oh, and get this, right? Not before it was over. She said she felt dirty and yucky. She said she asked Diddy, okay, well, where is the whatever, right? And she said she was super, super nervous. And he was basically like, yo, you don't need that. Like, they're clean. Like, it's like whatever. So also it gets into the condom about the way he preferred. Now, here's where things change. She says that she always regrets that because she feels like it opened a Pandora's box to their relationship that she couldn't shut. She said in 2021 she was agreeable to the freak off, but he wanted freak offs. They called them hotel times. He wanted hotel time all the time, and she did it because she wanted to make him happy. She loved him. She wanted everything, right? However, she said that she told him after that it became too much. And she told him verbally and in text messages that she did not want to do hotel nights or freak offs, right? She said, I told him many times, sometimes verbally, but most of it in writing, mostly in writing. And she said he ignored it every single time, right? When he did it, she'd be like, yo, we don't have to. All right, let's move on. You're crazy. We don't have to do it. All right, it's cool. It's cool. And he would do that. But then he would always end up, whenever he saw her sexually, it was always at a freak off. So whenever she tried to talk about it when she was sober, he'd be like, whatever. And then, she would be high rolling or whatever, and he would get to it, right? Now get this. She said that Diddy paid the rent in her home. And get this. He was paying her rent. Do you know that she was doing hotel parties and freak offs for only $10,000 a month? But that's only because she wanted a home and she wanted something stable because her kid's father, I guess, wasn't. Well, no, that's not true. He was giving child support, but she said it wasn't enough. And she just wanted some stability. And she wanted a nice home with her son. And she wanted a nice backyard. I actually thought that was actually really, really sad. Like, you really just wanted like a simple life, and you thought that was the closest to get your kid. And meanwhile, this man is only paying you $10,000 a month. She was doing all this to only get $10,000 a month. Now, don't get me wrong, $10,000 a month is a lot. And if anybody would like to put me on payroll for $10,000 a month for me to do nothing, I would be very happy for that. But yet and still, I think it's actually really, really crazy. Right. Yet and still, I think it's actually really, really crazy that she is even doing this, that she's even doing this for 10,000 when like this guy is like a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, they said that he would tell her, yo, because she was like, listen, I love you. I'm going to be with you. I just don't want to do the freak offs. And he would be like, listen, if you want to break up, that's fine. I'm not paying a woman's rent. I'm not seeing, right? So basically let her know that if you're not doing freak offs, I'm going to take away your house. I'm going to take away everything you love, and I'm not going to pay your rent. And basically you're going to be homeless. She said she felt obliged to perform. Now, I know what you're all saying. Oh, what does this prove? They're just getting started. It proves a lot, right? So then she said he was paying the rent. They felt obligated, right? This is when there was a sidebar, and this is where Diddy stood up and did that dominance display in front of the judge, even reaching over during the sidebar. And Judge Aaron was just sitting there. For now, when he does a sidebar, he used to be in the corner looking at the jurors. Now he just be standing like this, just looking straight at Diddy, right? Anyway, they said that May 2021, to October 2023, she said she only spent 30% of her time alone with Diddy. She said, and get this, they're like, how can it be 30% time? She said every single time they had smecks, it always had to be a freak off. And she would say she didn't want to. And when he did, he would threaten to pull away funding for her apartment. But more importantly, and this is what you got to remember, right? They said after that 30% came because they were alone. So after the escort left, they would get their alone time. And that's when they were like coming down. So they like really, really loved that, right? Let's see. She said that when she saw Diddy, it was super, super unpredictable. There was no notice given. Sometimes he would call the night before, sometime the day of, sometime a couple of days before. She had to make sure she had proper childcare. And I was like, how is this fool doing all this stuff, popping in your life, and you have a kid? But I get it. I think she was really, really, really trying to secure security for her child. And that's actually the really sad part, which just makes me think why Diddy was going after single mothers, because they were easier to control. Think about it. Except Cassie and J-Lo. So you know what? But again. Anyway, right? Cassie, they held the ring over, and J-Lo, she said she wanted the ring, but you know J-Lo don't give a damn. So anyway, she also said that it was getting real expensive. Now, the only thing he paid was the rent. He said that she always had to keep her nails done. He liked creamy white nails always. Her hair always had to be straight and a fresh blowout, and she had to be tan. She said after she used to travel a lot, and she made her money on Instagram traveling. And she said after that, she took hardly any trips with friends, right? And she said the one time she had taken a trip, Diddy was texting her, I'm so disappointed. I'm upset with you. How could you do this? This, that, and the third, right? She said that she was in the south of France in 2024. And there was Diddy left a bunch of mean voice notes, super, super, super disappointed, and felt bad. She felt bad because he was mad, and she wanted to please him. She wanted like everything to be okay. The looks, he demanded she have straight hair, and whenever they had smecks, it was in a ponytail. Creamy white nails. Oh, also, he demanded she get a nose piercing. And almost every day, grooming took over, working out, her nails, her lashes, everything. She said that she was just consumed by him. She couldn't work, right? Why? Because most of her money was like going on influencer trips, taking trips, doing this, doing that. So her ad dollars decreased a lot, right? She was only depending on Diddy and child support. And she said one time when they moved into their new house, he wired her $20K by wire. But whenever he would give her cash, $5 to $10K, it was just in cash. All right. Now, here's the thing. She wanted her own money. So in 2021, she was like, yo, her friend suggested she start OnlyFans, right? She says that she doesn't do nudity. Like she doesn't do, all she does is swimsuits, glamour shots, and implied nudity on her OnlyFans. But she doesn't do any smex acts, right? She said that her friend had made $4 million from OnlyFans that year. And she literally said that she knew that if she got on OnlyFans, it would be lucrative, but she needed her own money. So Diddy said, yo, we got to think about this. Why? Because she said, I needed permission from him to see if I could do OnlyFans, right? She also desperately wanted his approval. And so he literally said, and this is where I put, Diddy is so cheap. He said that Diddy was like, yo, well, how much you want for me to put you on allowance? And she was like, $15K, which is only like what, $150 and $200K a year. Hear me out. That's a lot. That is a lot. Hear me out. That's a lot. But it's not like, it's not OnlyFans money. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not OnlyFans. It's a lot, but it's not OnlyFans money. And $200K for a billionaire, yeah, I don't think that is that much. $200K for a billionaire, I don't think that is that much at all. Say what you want, but I do honestly think that you could do more, get more, say more, do whatever, okay? Yeah, guys, I know you can stop messaging me. We have the chat temporarily disabled because, we just want to make sure, right? Anyway, they said that he literally said, yo, 10K, I'll give you 10K a month, right? And get this, he used the allowance, right? He used the allowance for her to have a comfortable living space. Okay. I'm sorry, she used the allowance. So he said he would give her 10K a month in allowance. Do you know? I thought these girls were making bank, and it breaks my heart. You're only getting 10K a month from a billionaire to be his paid escort. It is crazy. Now, get this. I do want to say one thing. Carisha is caught in a lie. What's up, Jamie? Carisha is caught in a lie because didn't Carisha tell us that Diddy was giving her 300K a month or 200K a month? Now that we know how cheap Diddy is, you better take a few zeros. I wonder if Diddy was even buying her dinner. Wasn't Carisha supposedly getting 300K a month? I wonder what Diddy actually gave Carisha, because it seems like he's very generous when he's trying to hook you. But once he hooks you, all bets are off, right? So anyway, right? They said that she said that the allowance just was for a comfortable living space. And the thing is, she said she just wanted a yard, she wanted a house, she wanted something, right? And she said that Diddy's CPA was on the email along with Jane and Jane's landlord, right? And she said that after that, she always had to go to hotel meetups with Diddy. She also said that she talked about she would go on Diddy's private plane. A travel agent would hook it up for her, and KK and Jess would actually coordinate. Again, this is getting to the RICO, right? She said every time they went to the hotel, the setup was the same. Red lights, music, alcohol, sheets, blankets, towels, baby oil. They would use 24 bottles of baby oil at the time. Okay. There's text messages about this. He would choose what she wore. In hotel nights, she would always say hello, make small talk, be undressed. The guy would be undressed in shorts. She would be in a robe, high heels, and she would be slow dancing to try to take the edge off. She said that she would have to pour baby oil all over the man. For foreplay, she would have to touch him and her, pour over, blah, 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 blah. They said Diddy always diddled with himself in the corner. Listen, and get this. She said after the guy finished, he would demand that the guy, because I don't think that he let the guy use condoms. After the guy finished, he'd always have to finish on her body. And then after that, Diddy would tell the man, you can go. And then also they said that after he excused the guy, they would quote unquote make love. And Diddy they would make love while the guy's stuff was still on her body and Diddy wouldn't clean up. So it goes into that. At that point, they said these hotel meetings would last about 24 to 30 hours each time. At that point, it was just a whole hot mess, right? It was just the whole hot mess, okay? At the end of the day, and after that, that's when they said, yo, we're going to stop for today. So everybody says the testimony tomorrow is Jane Doe is going to get really, really dark. Things are going to get really, really sick and disgusting. But what do we have? Because let's actually talk about what was actually established, okay? One, it was established that Jamie did a good point. She said she must have really needed the money because even after the Cassie payout, she stayed. And in the Cassie video, she also said, the sad thing is all of this is because people want to look like they lived that life. Maybe, right? Maybe. But I will say this, right? I honestly think that when she was on the stand, first of all, she was drop dead gorgeous, beautiful woman. And when she was on the stand, she felt so sincere. I don't think that she was trying to look like she was living a high flying life. I think she honestly just wanted a house with a yard that her kid, she said she wanted a comfortable living space. The apartment was cramped and she just wanted a house. And the thing is, I was sitting next to James in court and he made a good point. He was like, all these people, why didn't they invest that money? 10,000 is a lot of money. But get this, you were paying rent, but she was in charge of all, I think she was in charge of all her living expenses, her nails, her this, her that. It was actually really, really sad. But the thing is, it's like, there's a pattern. Diddy is a monster. It was legit on some grooming stuff. You did this to every single woman. You groomed them. You came at love bombing. You came in like Prince Charming. You wined and dined them. You literally gave them money and wined and dined her, but all of them. But at the same time, you separated them from what made them make money. Let's not forget Young Miami and the City Girls. You separated from what made you make money. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you do all that, it's like, what in the world could you possibly be? Like you separated her from the way she made money. And again, you can say, oh, well, she needs to take personal accountability. But when somebody grooms someone over and over, but anyway, they haven't even gotten into the violence and they haven't gotten into the control and they haven't gotten into what she actually went through. Again, it's just starting. And you can tell this girl has still a lot of love for Diddy. You can tell that this girl still has a lot of love for Diddy, but yet and still, it's just really, really sad. It's sad. And again, I know what you're saying, but the way she was describing everything and what you had to do to just make 10K a month, hear me out. It's a lot. But when you are a billionaire, I don't think it's that much to be doing freak offs. And Diddy was paying the escorts about 6K, 6 to 8K every single time they turned a trick. But the girl who was the one doing this, because you needed her, you were only giving her 10K a month and you were paying her rent and all her other bills were on her. How are the escorts getting paid more than the victims? That's all I'm saying. Listen, it was really, really sad. It was really, really weird. I'll tell you what the weirdest thing was. The judge shutting Diddy down and actually warning him that he better stop trying to communicate with the jury. That is jury witness tampering. I do honestly feel like Diddy kind of knows he's done for, because let's look at the RICO, right? Let's look at the RICO charges, okay? Really quick, because we're going to actually, really quick, I just want to pull in the RICO charges so we can actually... Hold on. One second. I'm looking for the RICO charges. Anyway, let's get into the RICO charges. The RICO charges are okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So when you get into the actual RICO charges, you need two predicate acts. First of all, it needs to be sex trafficking. There needs to be coercion. There needs to be force, or there could be fraud, okay? The government is saying that by Diddy saying that he was the boyfriend, where literally you were just getting cheap escorts, which makes me wonder how many other girls were doing freak offs? How many other girls were doing freak offs? We actually need some answers, right? But at the end of the day, the predicate crimes. Under RICO law, predicate crimes include sex trafficking, drug trafficking, kidnapping, murder, extortion, bribery, arson, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, money laundering, mail wire fraud, arson, or human smuggling. Now, just hear me out on this, right? Let's go by one because people say it's not RICO. Let's go first all the RICO things. And based off of the testimony, right, that nobody's disputed, let's see what actually happened. Sex trafficking. We'll get back to that one, right? Rug trafficking. No, because I don't think it's it has to be more than what you do for consumption. Kidnapping. Let's not forget that Capricorn Clark and Cassie all testified. I think they have text messages to comply and also records that they literally held Capricorn Clark against her will to actually take them to where Kid Cudi's house is, and they would not leave. And they have to text that they would not let Capricorn Clark leave until Cassie came over and traded herself in. And once Cassie came over and traded herself in, Cassie got beat up, and Capricorn Clark had to walk miles home from the Hollywood Hills. Okay. Also, there was another time where she said that she was kidnapped. For those of you guys that don't know, kidnapping is any time that somebody restricts your movement. I could be standing in front of you and not let you leave. I could grab you and put you in a house and lock you away. When you restrict my movement against my will, that is, for better words, kidnapping. The fact that it happened via gunpoint, maybe. Let's also not forget that Cassie testified in their horror hotel records and also text messages between Diddy, D-Rock, and all his people. Let's also not forget that when it comes to that, right? For the kidnapping, they held Cassie in a hotel room without her control, and she wanted to leave, and they would not let her go until her face healed. And they were all doing Diddy's bidding to the point of their text messages where Diddy is telling everybody what to say to Cassie to keep her on that little hamster wheel. Murder. I don't know I don't think the feds have enough to pin that on Diddy. I would argue that Bonna being held over the balcony is a tempting marking, but what do we know, right? Bribery. We already have that on so many levels, okay? We have all of the hotel staff that testified saying that Diddy used corporate funds to pay off for that video. What is the criminal organization? The organization that the criminal acts happen, the predicates of criminal acts, you need at least two. They're supporting Combs Global. Diddy needs to look like a shiny, good businessman. He needs to look like all that in order to make things stick. He needs to look like that in order for things to stick, for him to get brand endorsements, for him to go. He has to show a certain lifestyle. So the fact that that's what happened, that's what it is, right? Also, obstruction of justice. This is what he's in jail for right now. Obstruction of justice, because witness tampering, he's also got pulled off from that. The money laundering, I don't think the feds were able to get that. However, there can be a case made that if you are using your funds from your job to pay off people, right? And you do not actually let the people know what it's for, or you write it off as a business expense, so it was actually personal, then that would count as money laundering. Mail wire fraud, I don't know if they have them on that, but who is it? Sarah, Joy, Carisha, Cassie. I'm thinking about all the women that like Diddy had around them. Some were massage therapists, some were this, some were that. I'm thinking about all the, remember Joy Chavez, right? She was paid by a wire transfer by Diddy. Sarah Chapman, Diddy paid wire transfer. What other women were actually around Diddy? What's some women that have been dating Diddy for like the last 6 years? There's also this one girl from Miami. I don't know her name. She actually might be Jane Doe. Nobody knows who Jane Doe is. But the point of the matter is all the women around Diddy were paid. And if they can prove that the women around Diddy were paid, KK, and they were workers, they all had jobs with Diddy. I even think that Young Miami might have been promoting De Leon. So if you look at all the women around Diddy were paid, and they were all through your, what do you call it? Your check balances or whatever. If you think about that, then that just means that if you're paid via wire transfer, which is your check, then that lets you know that that could be wire fraud. And if they were all together helping promote this. Again, we don't know who's going to testify in Diddy's trial on his defense. There's a lot of women that he was seeing, and there's a lot of employees that he had, right? So because we don't know who's going to testify for Diddy, anybody could be a co-conspirator, but if anybody flips on Diddy, they can also say that the income they received was wire fraud. You see what I'm saying? So again, Sarah Chapman, that's the baby's mom, Young Miami. Again, he wasn't giving Kim Porter bags of cash. All the women he saw and all the women he worked with, from the chef, KK, his massage therapist, all this stuff, all these people would go. Again, I think that's why Gina, if she did testify, she would have been super, super powerful, because I think out of everybody around Diddy, Gina was the only one that wasn't on payroll. Do you know what I'm saying? So the money she received could only be used as like payroll. It couldn't be played off and said like, oh no, this is my income, right? Anyway, there's also arson. That's arson with, who is it? Capricorn Clark and Kid Cudi and Cassie all testified to this. And also human smuggling. I don't think that counts. I think sex trafficking is completely different, okay? Again, what is the prosecution trying to prove, right? That Diddy ran a criminal enterprise that involved bribery, trying to pay off hotel staff or assistants to cover it up, and obstruction of justice, intimidating witnesses. They can very, very, very easily argue that. The bottom line is the predicate crimes or the building blocks that prosecutors are going to use to show a pattern of criminal behavior. And when they were testifying, when that girl was testifying, they kept saying like, and what happened? They kept saying, so this was a pattern. They kept establishing that, you know? But honestly, think about all the women that worked for Diddy around that time. And this is from like what, 2024 on back. They all had to get paid via wire transfer. That would be your paycheck. If it is something illegal, that could actually be wire fraud. If you're being paid to be like a masseuse, if you're being paid to be like the face of De Leon, if you're being paid to be an assistant, but really you're doing other stuff or you're helping move the criminal thing over, I think that'd be very, very easy to actually say. In any case, there's also the sex trafficking, right? That involves recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting, providing, obtaining, or maintaining a person for a commercial sex act. The girl today testified, and Cassie also testified. That was their main thing, where the act is induced by force. That's violence. The person testifying has not testified on whether violence, but it's only 3 days. I'm sure she will. Fraud, making you think you're the girlfriend, but if you don't do this, I'm going to stop doing this. Or coercion. All right, we talked about that. There's the racketeering conspiracy, participation in Combs Global's affairs through a pattern of racketeering activity, which includes committing at least 2 of the underlying predicate crimes, which are criminal, and transportation for prostitute, transporting individuals across state lines with the intent that they engage in prostitute or any sexual activity for which any person can be charged with a criminal offense. Let's also not forget obstruction of justice, tampering with witnesses, victims, or informants, and bribery, offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting something of value to influence the act of an official in the discharge of their public legal duties. You guys, the prosecution has proven RICO. When it comes to sex trafficking, you only need one person. And this Jane Doe looks like, again, nobody knows who Jane Doe is. It's impossible to know. Okay, that's one of the reasons I turned the comments off on the live, because I don't even want speculation. Okay, let's wait for this to blow over. But nobody knows who Jane Doe is. But the point of the matter is, and let's just get it in, she never filed a civil lawsuit. She did not want to. I think she was subpoenaed by the prosecution. She's not filing any lawsuits. She just wants justice for everything that Diddy actually did to her. Anyway, you guys, listen, let me get out of here. I'll try to go back on live later on tonight or put up a video. In the meantime,